what I'm here to talk about is this little project. So I was on the CIPI App Leadership course in wave 4, and the project I chose was actually I wanted to choose Emma's project to do as my project, but this became more pressing as an issue in our service. So I got to, and these two gentlemen are completely a witness to the journey Waltham Forest has taken from April 2014. Okay, there were real concerns with the service when I joined the service. Lots of problems, lots of dynamics in the service. No outcome measures. I think there was a quarter that you received no performance data from Waltham Forest. It's really concerning. But moreover, this is what I concentrated on. This is a national problem. The benchmarking report of 2012 set this standard of 11% DNA rate should be achieved. The national average is about 16%. It doesn't go away. We know in mental health services, DNA rates are going to be traditionally higher than physical health services. And then we know in children's services they could even be a bit higher because of school and other children's that are not so flexible as adult working life. I do tweet. I can see Duncan tweeting at the moment, so that's my Twitter account if you want to follow. Again, I tweet ramblings and stuff and weird stuff. So if you want to follow on Twitter, I'm there. So this was the problem. This was the problem. We had the DNA rate. It was ridiculous. So when I got there, it was about 26% DNA rate. So 1 in 4 appointments weren't being attended. We're very busy, really pressured service. Everyone was, I'm sure it's heaving in every single service that we're in, and it's very busy and very chaotic. And this is what we had. But we also, on top of that, we had engagement with families poor. People just didn't want to engage with the service. Even when I tried to call them, it was, oh, I'll wait. I don't want to rock things. I'll wait. And there's a kind of concept or a misconcept that if you start to ask for something, you might get marginalised. Lots of stuff was going on, and the number of complaints I did receive was high. But most of the themes in the complaints, and we have the Datix system where we record complaints and we can track that. Most of the themed complaints were around, I can't get into the service. When am I going to be seen? I can't get into the service. Okay, so what do we do? So we surveyed. So we sent out a survey electronically to all the families and young people, and then we had the same survey in paper in the clinic. And this was set up on quick surveys or one of the online surveys. We had we opened it up for 1 month to get feedback on where you'd like to be seen, when you'd like to be seen, how you'd like to be communicated on, lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of stuff. And before we did that, so we got answers based on how they wanted to be communicated. So traditionally, we send letters out. Text messages were kind of very favoured by young people. Parents more so wanted emails. We were asked when, so we would book your appointment today. It's 4,000 years in the future. We sent your letter out. You've got to know. You as a family have got to organise yourselves to come to your appointment on time. So we stopped that again, and then we started sending appointment reminders 2 weeks, 3 days, and then the day before you attend your appointment. In the sense of first one's a letter, second one's an email, third one's a text message. What else? And also where they wanted to be seen. So we asked the question where they wanted to be seen. Now, not everyone's been to Waltham Forest camps, but the young people, they do refer to it as the house on the hill. In winter, after 4 o'clock, it's a really, really kind of intimidating place to come up. And it is a house, a building, and it is on a hill. And if I blindfold you and take you to the bottom of that hill, it's a very, very scary place. We're moving into a co-located service with children's services. But strangely, and this is because of probably just neuroplastic behaviour, we asked them where they want to be seen, and the majority of them still wanted to be seen in our clinic, even though that's the environment of it. And it's about the families then not thinking outside the box. And we gave them options of school, GP surgeries. They didn't want to be seen. The young people didn't want to be seen at school because there were issues with that, but the parents wanted their children to be seen at school. GP surgeries were kind of about half and half as if they were or were not. And then the other parts were other areas, coffee shops and other services, other areas around the borough, but they were kind of minimal. Okay, then what did we do? We process mapped. So then these two gentlemen and Annual came to our service in January 2015, and we were going to process map the service and we tried to facilitate a family to come and join us for that. We couldn't, so we role played the family with some of the clinicians. Came in, we had a family, and Anne was trying to describe the family's route into CAMS. So in preparation for the meeting, I pulled out our service spec, which was co-designed with the CCG, and it looked like that. That's what happens when you come to CAMS, right? Yeah. So everyone probably familiar with that. We know what that does. We know what to do. We know where they go. And then we did the process mapping, which was initially booked out for about 2 hours, and we spent 5 hours, and we got to this. So this is 3 walls worth of paper as to what happens to the child and family when they come into the service. This is really powerful, okay, because this piece of work really transformed the service. We found out, so all of the pink bits were bits where the families were getting stuck, or the young people were getting stuck. So each one of those pink stickers was a job for me to do as a service lead, and a job for the clinicians to do as service providers. And then the green bits are the bits where innovation could happen. And those bits then were used to try and transform the service. So we, again, reduced the number of meetings. We sent all the information about the service very, very early on in the service, so they knew what they were coming to. Some of the problems where we don't even know what we're coming for. So we changed that. But this is really powerful, and I would, again, if these guys facilitate something like that as part of the Illaiee Partnership, I'd recommend doing this in your service. It's really, really useful tool. And then we set objectives. What did we want to do? So I had to engage with the commissioners. They wanted an improvement of the DNA rates, as they do. But again, yeah, give them an inch, and they'll want a mile. So these are the kind of things that we wanted to do. IT systems are always a bit of a challenge, but work with them. They need to be friendly. I know what Duncan says, and they're not always understanding what's going on the ground. So this is the interesting bit of work that I found out throughout this year, is that I tried to change, or I picked one of the principles of IAP, which is accessibility to the service we're in, and that's what I focused on. I'm a pharmacist by background. I'm a process person. That's what I'm going down this route. That's what I'm doing, and I can really blank out the rest. But it's impossible not to, by sublimation, change the other bits or fix the other principles as you go along. So we had to engage participation. You had to tell the families at the beginning of the service that you're going to be offering evidence-based practice. You had to make them understand the outcome measures. But you can't do that. If we couldn't do that, we couldn't improve the accessibility rates. This is an important triangle. We learnt this at the IAP leadership course. Some of you have seen this, some of you may not have. If you want any implementation to work, you've got to have a system, and fixing the system is you need leadership, you need cash, basically, you need resources, and you need training. If you don't have those three, you might have goodwill, you might have great leadership, but if you haven't got the right bits and pieces around it, you're going to struggle. And these 3 things are really important. They don't tend to happen together in one go, but you need, before you're ready to make a change, make sure all these 3 things are in place and ready to support you. And these are the problems. I won't go through all that because you're probably aware of the reasons why people tend to DNA CAMS appointments. So didn't receive a communication. Sometimes the children were unwell. This one's important. That one, an innovation cave on its own. That's 1 PowerPoint in our trust 1 year. So that's really one. That Willis article is really important. Oh, sorry, that's my machine. Too much work on. It's all right. Didn't want. So the idea is that you lose 2 hours of schooling just coming to an appointment, and sometimes parents, they've got targets to meet at school, and we're not helpful by just offering loads and loads of appointments. Okay. Oops. I've gone. I have to go this way. What we got? Okay. So yeah. So Duncan put a YouTube article a while back saying it's possible that the therapist is the problem with the DNA rates, where the kids just rub with their feet and don't turn up. I ran a report from our computer systems to see if that was true. So looking at therapists looking at second or third DNA rates after starting therapy or an intervention with them. And for the majority of staff, that wasn't a problem. So we kind of ruled that out straight away. But it's really about, for families, for managers, for leaders, for the clinicians, it's really about changing anything, including getting the DNA rates to improve. It's really about a hearts and minds issue. It's about changing that mindset, getting people to believe in the concept. Change is always awful. It's always good now. And again, I refer to Duncan. He says, he hopes. A year ago, he told me, he hopes in 20 years' time they think what we're doing now is completely old-fashioned. That's the ambition. To when we get to 20 years' time, we're all kind of retiring age. I hope. Well, I would be. That someone's going to say, "Oh, you guys were kind of really old-fashioned, and that wasn't cool. We shouldn't have done that." But that's okay, because we're trying something different now. And we're going to get to where we want to go. We need to keep moving things forward. We don't rest on our laurels. So there's another book, Professor Cotter's book, around with the penguin colony. Clever little book, very small. It talks about a group of penguins on an iceberg. One of the maverick penguins has a swish down underneath the water, comes up and says the iceberg's melting. And then if you read that book, you will see every member of your CAMS team in that book. There are penguins who represent every single member of your CAMS team in that book. It's called Our Iceberg is Melting, so have a look through it anyway. Sorry. Okay, so who's read the book? A few giggles. Right, okay. There are a few giggles anyway in that book. You will see, basically there's a character in there called No. Alright? There's one character this one. And there are others. Okay, so winning hearts and minds. So we are a participation group. So these are just kind of snippets of how we so this is one snippet I would say, not time for all of them, of how we begin to win the hearts and minds of the young people and the clinicians and the therapists going forward. So this is the analogy that Karen, one of our psychologists, took around with the participation groups. She asked them, why do you? They go say, oh, we don't want to do the forms, too much work. And then she said to them, how do you want us to present it? And it was a long conversation. About 2 or 3 participation groups later, this is the definition they came up with. So if you break your foot or your arm, you're going to go ow, and then what do you do next?
Go to the doctor.
Okay, what does the doctor do?
See you to the hospital.
Okay, what does hospital do? Take an X-ray, right? And then what do they do after the X-ray? Treat it. Pass you up, or put one of those air boots on, and away you go. And they say, see you in 6 weeks' time. So in 6 weeks' time, you come back. They've told you to keep the weight off the foot, and etc., etc., etc. 6 weeks' time, you get back to the doctor or the fracture clinic. What do? They'll take the cast off. Another X-ray. And then why do they do the second X-ray? To check if it's healed properly. Okay, and this is the real description that our young people like. Took this to the parent feedback place, and I want someone to tell us that from the beginning. So I've got a couple of pictures here, right? So that's a picture of Homer Simpson. What can you notice? X-ray of his brain, right? CYP hands come in here, right? And then this happens, right? Take another X-ray. So what happens? Yeah? Can we get it? Right. So that's the powerful bit about why we do outcome measures. That's how I think why we do outcome measures. I can't evidence at the end of treatment if the treatment's worked or not. You explained that there are some kids who are just not getting better. It's important that we take the X-ray. It's important that we take the outpatient to evidence that. Because if you go back to the GP, we go back to social care, we've tried, but something's not right. There are other elements that need to help us to support the children. Okay, it's not just about hands. Right, this is our kind of interactive system that we use. It's for ICANN, and I just want to give you. So what we do is we take, these are the measures. So these are SDQ. This is the fake patient. Sorry, just to get it colour. So client came in here. The emotional scale was amber, conduct was amber, hyperactivity was clear, and prosocial was red. Something happened in between. We remeasured, and it came back as this got better, this got worse. It needs to stay the same impact or better. This is just completely just put up there just so you can illustrate differences in how we take the outcome measures and how we use them in feedback. And then we have similar kind of scales for anything else that you complete in our system. So what happened? Tell me about the cat. Just one quick. Okay, that's right. Okay, so this is what happened quarter on quarter in terms of our DNA rates. Okay, this is where we ended up. That's where we began. All right. But I said to you that I came into a service that was very busy. Yeah, and you can see by the number of contacts. I came in April. Number of contacts and the number of DNA rates. Right, so people are DNAing and we're making that number of contacts. We're trying to fit all the clients into a system to see all these clients, okay? As the quarters go on and some of the interventions that we've put in place, the DNA rates go down here, but also what you'll notice, the number of contacts has also dropped. Okay, so if you go to your commissioners with that, well, gosh, you're not working hard enough. But no, because the data which I haven't shown you here is the caseload and the throughput has remained the same. We've just become a bit more effective in delivering a service. Just a little bit more effective. We can't say amazingly effective, but more effective and more efficient. So the number of kids who are DNAing on us is halved, or more than halved. Okay, so those slots are not empty, and clinicians don't feel under pressure to fit in, do longer hours, come in, be the superhero, and then make mistakes, and whatever else can happen is all there if you work too hard and you're too under pressure. So this has really helped. So other things that have happened is that a number of datixes, quality of datix has gone up, changes the way that we've done datixes, number of complaints hasn't gone down, right? Complaints don't go down. Never think you're going to fix something and complaints are going to go away. So I said at the beginning of the slides, the initial complaints were, I can't get service. Now the complaints are, I don't like your service. But at least they're getting a service. And that's a difference of opinion. And to be honest, the complaints have reduced quite heavily. But again, don't make that expectation when you're starting a journey like this. And this is what actually happened. So again, going to the commissioners, standing in front of them here, and saying that's my service, and that's the service I'm offering to the young people in Waltham Forest, it's kind of difficult. Yeah, difficult. But what you have is a reduction over a year, so that's a year, just about here, and again, February and March around here, I haven't got time to pull the data from the last 2 months. Also, but there's an interesting thing, we've got an RTT target as well of 18 weeks. As the referral to treat, as the DNA rates dropped, the clinic got full, so the clients who initially engaged are now engaging, so the kids in the queue end up waiting longer. Right, so we had a problem in September. We had real pressures to get our RTT out and concordant, and we've had to do a bit more of a service transformation, and I'll come on to what we're doing to change that, sort of like from November onwards, to explain that. But again, once we put this second intervention in, the RTT target recovered itself. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about next. So this is okay, we got to here, great. We need to make it a bit more sustainable, we need to make it right, and we just need to sort of like do something else. So Waltham Forest has been offered an opportunity to be one of 10 accelerator sites in the iThrive implementation of a new service, a new way of working in CAMS. Okay, the first bit, that's it. Has anyone seen the Thrive model at all? Yeah, talks about 4 quadrants. Talks about, and this is kind of general. You need someone of the experts to come and talk to the slides properly. But quadrant 1 is about coping. It's about taking people and signposting them to a new service. Okay, the quadrant 2 is about brief interventions, and quadrant 3 is about longer term interventions, and quadrant 4 is about risk. That's why I was really interested in your 20%, because those ones would be. Those are risk to my service, or risk to my contract with the DNA. So risk is a general thing. It could be risk to clients, risk of self-harm, systems risks, risk to relationships. But these that would be a risk. And what Thrive does is put them into this quadrant and deals with them specifically as a way of working. But they've got some assumptions before they can ask. If you think Thrive is a system where you've got to look at their assumptions, and the assumptions in Thrive are that 3/4 of your kids will get discharged with 3 or less appointments to their spell, or from the point of entry to the point of discharge. So you ran that report in Waltham Forest, and we're here. So inappropriate referrals, things that come in and don't belong in CAMS. They look at that. They look at how many referrals you call up and say, not for CAMS. Okay, because if we move these on, okay, you get more space to look after these children. Okay, so this is really signposting. If it wasn't appropriate for you at the point of a phone call, why hasn't someone in the community, or why is there no awareness in the community to know better where to send that child? Why does it have to come to CAMS even for a phone call? If you can make that efficiency, you can spend much more time here. Yeah, so if all these contacts go, this is where you concentrate your efforts. And if these kids came only for one appointment, then could that one appointment not have been done over the phone? Which then has a knock-on effect on these children here, who come for 2 or 3 appointments only. And it's a real deep philosophy. If you're interested, you can find me by Alex and we can go through it. Lily and Kate work on the Thrive project here for Paul and some of the other partners here, and it's an interesting project. The other bit I want to show you is, okay, so this is what and I'm going to use Emma now, because she used me in the last presentation. I'm going to use a bit of Emma in this one. So the other thing that happened is children really wanted to change the way we communicate. I went downstairs and had lunch, and on one of the tables it said, how would you use digital communications to change the way services are delivered? Right, so about 6 to 8 months ago, a mum came into the service. There was a child protection meeting going on the following week, and there was a big professionals meeting in our CAMS service. And she came in, was this about, must be maybe even a year ago, could be that long. And this was the inspiration behind what I'm about to show you, because our service is going along the digital lines of communication with young people. She came in, panicking on the phone. My child's not here. There were police representatives, CAMS, social services, school, big meeting, okay, in preparation for the CPP meeting. Mum's on the phone, calling. Our admin trying to call the young person, can't get hold of you, and it's going to really look bad on mum if she doesn't turn up, and has implications. She had a phone. Looked at her phone. She had the BlackBerry Messenger on her phone. So I picked it up and I said, does your daughter use the messenger system? She went, yes, she does. Picked it up. I said, are you on your way? Or something like that. 4 seconds later, she said, I'll be there in 5 minutes. It took 4 seconds to reply to that text message or that media message. When she came in, I asked her, why didn't you just pick up your mum's call and tell her? I was with my friends, it's a bit embarrassing. Yeah? So it's really a different way of communicating. So then I met Emma, and we had a big brainstorming session. It was I think it was pretty much by accident. I had some stuff on a bit of paper. I said, right, we're going to do this. Do you want to do any bit of prep before I show the video?
All I would say is, I guess, for those people that were on IAC training this year, the reason this conversation happened by accident was those of you that were at the lecture, someone came and spoke to us about experience-based co-design. And after that lecture, I went to Sam and said, Sam, I think WhatsApp would be great for us. Can we have that? And we couldn't. So we ended up with a brainstorm and a think about where we could use experience-based co-design to come up with an app, thinking not only about how it could work for clients, because we can build an app that will work for clients, but it doesn't mean clinicians will use it if they think it will take them time. So it was about designing an app that clients would use, but also that clinicians wouldn't sit there and go, hell no, I'm using an app. So it needed to be something that would make clinicians feel like it was working for them as well by reducing their time. And the results in the project was what Sam was going to do.
We'll take questions afterwards, because probably this is going to stir a lot. hope that will fix the Illaiee rates for good, basically. But this has got the potential to change the way we do things in Waltham Forest dramatically. Open to questions. It's not ready yet, by the way.
And it's not called My Mind, My Movie
Oh, yes.
either, because the young people, we're using an experience-based co-design to build this. So young people is very much collaboratively designed with young people, carers and clinicians. Clinicians were something that did their notes for them, so it's kind of this. And something that updated iCanva, so we do that. Carers were something that would allow them to message clinicians, because clinicians are never next to their landlines, so you can't phone them. And young people want lots of things, are doing a lot of design with it, and they didn't like My Mind, My Mood, so now it's with Vortex, because they like that better. So we're Vortex now.
So it's Vortex. So initially we ran a group. My Mind, My Mood was great. We actually put it on the screen, and it turned into My Mind, My Mood. So we stopped that. We couldn't get it to fix. So the name is been redesigned and branded as this. It's on its way. There are things that people ask, which I might as well just let you know. So the security across the air is going to take 2 million years to crack. So there's 4 layers of encryption in the system. They're working on the 5th and 6th just in case. Also the outcome measures all linked in. When we bid for this money, we bid it for the Nelft Innovation Cave, which happens once a year. We promised 24-hour updating of the patient notes electronically. It looks like that may even reduce down to 30-minute intervals. The technology has moved on, and our trust software and database team said it's possible that we're moving faster to update the records every 30 minutes. But again, if you wanted more information about it, you can contact Alex and Duncan. We're planning testing in Waltham Forest with 15 clients initially in June, then wider testing in the whole of the service by about September, wider rollout in Nelft by December, and then it should be stable enough on any platform to be used by anyone who's interested. Thank you. Vortex will have its own Twitter account within the next. It will be manned by or managed by myself and Emma going forward. It is ambitious. It was even more ambitious when we went to the Innovation Cave, and we had executive directors there. We had ICDs, non-execs. We had chief nurses sitting around us. It's a brainstem environment when we have that bidding process. We've been through it a few times. We're quite well oiled with it, but they were blown away by it.
That was our pitch.
Yeah,
video.
that was the pitch. We pitched it just for cams, but we had Geraldine, which is one of our elderly care nurses, consultants there, and she said, I want this because I need to take pictures of ulcers. So the patients can take a picture of the ulcers, and the nurse can take the correct dressing without going backwards and forward forever and ever and ever. Got wider. What we want, this is a CAMS thing. It's going to ever remain a CAMS thing until it's pulled, kicking and screaming off me and forward.
It sounds really exciting because I'm part of an outreach team that's half the time we're always on our own. They're again frustrated that we can't use other platforms like WhatsApp and all that. One of the things that really gets me is like, even if I've gone into work and I've already done 4 or 5 text messages, the last thing I want to do is sit on the mail one verbatim. I'm not effectively not going to do that. Is it logistically possible, if you already given me away, that this can update the real?
This is exactly what's going to.
Yeah, this is what we promised, and we've worked.
And ITs could instead like, oh, that's some crazy much what you said. Yes, we can actually solve problems.
So this morning, that was the meeting that I had before I came here, and I watched them do it. So I can't give all the technical details of it, but they've got 6 members of staff who never have annual leave, who work 24 hours a day, who only need feeding by electricity. There are 6 slave machines who sit in the IT department that have been set up, ready to do this. So it's and our IT department is very good.
It works with very good on it.
But again, we've got to see the children and young people like it. So that's where it's going to make a success. We can build it as much as we want. Yeah.
I do like that idea. One concern is young people phase out the one-to-one session in the room? Because do you think, because most young people much prefer Skype, social media, and do you think we're going to use that as a preference rather than coming out, walking out that deal to that for a one-to-one session?
So,
We have discussed that in the participation group. So a big part of the app, when we designed it, was looking at recovery journey for young people and thinking about rapport engagement building for young people. So one of the parts of the app is it will allow young people to link their profile to a clinician profile, so know more about the person they're coming to see. So they see what you look like. So, you're not just a fancy name and fancy home. They know what you do, they know what your job is, you know what that person can provide. And when young people come in to have their app set up, there's very careful and clear care planning around what the app is used for. So what video technology is used for. So very clear that video technology is used for example, exams. You saw on Sam's presentation earlier that the DNA rates spike at exam periods. So during exam periods, we may use video technology more often so that it wouldn't be a regular replacement for therapy that could be used. Looked after children, for example. I looked after children's team, got people placed on Manchester, I can't actually them every day, but you could face them. But it's very carefully care planned that video technology is not a replacement. They will DNA in pre-equipment in favour of video technology, then we will bring back into are you able to engage as opposed to therapy. Video technology, it can be used for holding treatment at the moment, but there's not enough evidence right now to say that it can replace traditional face-to-face engagement.
That's the main thing at the moment, and that's why when we pitched it, it's experience-based co-design, not evidence-based co-design. There's no evidence for one-to-one or Skype or that kind of technology. There's no evidence-based.
But there is experience-based knowledge that actually young people, exam times, for example, are incredibly stressful, and I'd really quite like to be a therapist during my exam, but my exam finishes at 3:30, treatment is treatment centre closes at 5, I'm now going to the bar out, actually, I need to revise as well, so I don't need that 2 hours just to get to you, but I'd like to see you. Young people are very clear they do not like to talk on the phone, they couldn't like telephone calls, it's not that thing. I watched my brother came to the phone the other day, it's not good to thing, isn't it? Because they'd rather write on their bar FaceTime, and that's what we're trying to provide, is no need to get to this therapy, and that's why the care planning is so important, and why it's really important that young people can access their care plan through the app.
I just think that one of the things I guess I was thinking about is that therapeutic containment, and I think it's going to be really being clear with that young person about how they use it, because if you've got some of these things being just sent to you, that young person at that time.
And that's why care planning is really important. There's also safeguard and safety net under it. So when you send a message into the clinician, if the clinician is not looked at that and not read that message, you will get an automatic reply saying, this message has not been seen. If you're in crisis or at risk, call the landline number for the team, go to A&E because outside of hours, etc. and so forth. And what IT is saying they can possibly do as well. We know that infamous WhatsApp tips that can remove the WhatsApp message, but we can even look at including something like that. So young people are very clearly aware your message has not been read, and you need to make sure it goes elsewhere. And equally, young people, anyone play Candy Crush? You've got the map of Candy Crush. So something similarly is included in the app, but it's the recovery journey. It's young people's recovery journey. At which point outcome measures are set at certain points using that to measure the paired measures, but it also helps young people see, for you to continue on that recovery journey is to be coming to those appointments, make sure you're attending and progressing through the levels of your recovery and not stalling on level 3 of Candy Crush.
I think you're really interested in when the phone, just a minute of security here. When the phone gets upgraded and all those information. So that's got my daughter's upgraded phone and all the apps, messages are on there which I can easily access. So I'm just making it up.
It's completely encrypted using it. So to create your app, you need your NHS number to be able to log in and create, and it's username, password, gives you a warning that it's going to log you out as inactive more than a couple of minutes. If you don't say, we logged in, it will log you out, and there is no way of saving your username or password to the app. Similarly, with encryption for bank logins.